Welcome to the Sages of Industry podcast with your host, Lynne Brodie. With 30 plus years of Fortune 20 experience, Lynne specializes in strategic activation flow for cognitive peak potential. Each episode features conversations with leaders who have built products and services that simultaneously serve clients, engage employees, and solve real-world problems. Will you be the next global change maker? Subscribe for the latest episodes, and don't miss Lynne's monthly solo series, The Ripple Effect, designed to activate your flow zone for imagination, innovation, and measurable impact. Now let's join Lynne and today's extraordinary guest.
Hi, I'm Lynne Brodie, and welcome to the Sages of Industry podcast, where I'm talking with leaders that bring outstanding innovations to the world. While you're listening, think of ways you too can bring business for world good. Today's guest is Jackie Russell. Jackie is the president of Teak Media Communication, a certified B Corp strategic communications firm. She founded it in 1997, and Teak empowers responsible companies and nonprofit organizations to achieve widespread recognition and increase their revenue. As a former reporter for daily newspapers, Russell understood the power of the media and wanted to leverage it to help nonprofits and responsible businesses grow and continue their good work. Russell believes businesses have both the power and obligation to change the world for the better. By providing traditional and digital media communication services that are based in the principle of journalism, Teak helps conscious businesses grow. Setting the pace for this progressive public relations firm, Russell accepts the promotional responsibilities of companies and organizations whose ethics and values are aligned with Teak mission. Teak is best known for companies and organizations whose ethics and values are aligned with the Teak mission. Teak is known for promoting responsible companies like Curriculum Associates and Reading Horizons, as well as large charitable organizations, including the New England Aquarium, the Barr Foundation, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and the Nature Conservancy. Along with its B Corp affiliation, Teak Media is a founding member of the Boston chapter of Conscious Capitalism. The common thread that runs through all of Teak's work is its ability to create and promote the stories that lie at the intersection of business and humanity. Russell holds a BA from Skidmore College and an MAT from Boston University. She's an admitted media hound and considers her work to be a privilege and an honor. Welcome, Jackie, to the show.
Thanks for having me, Lynne.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm very interested. You have a very interesting story in how you got started in all of this and helping everyone. And so if you could share with everyone how you got started, how you chose this idea, creation, invention, or did it choose you?
I was a print reporter for newspapers, and I left for personal reasons. I loved being a reporter. And then I took up a job as a copy editor at a small publishing house in Boston. And they focused on sports, and I edited a book called Women Ski, and just fun things like that. It was really all very positive. And the publisher asked me if I would do public relations for the books, to promote the books that I was editing, because I had a background in journalism. And, I didn't want to do it. I thought publicists were dumb because I was a journalist and there was a stigma. And I hadn't even taken PR classes. I didn't really know what to do, but I made it up as I went along, thinking, what does a reporter need to know? How am I going to get this reporter to do these stories about these authors? And I just came at it from a journalistic perspective. I knew what they needed. I knew what the story was. So I handed it to them, and I made it easy for them. And I got really good results to the point where people are like, how is she doing this? And I didn't know how I was doing it. I was just doing it. And I was 30. And I thought, well, why don't I just open up my own company and do this? I should open up a PR firm, even though I didn't know what that meant. And I knew nothing about owning a business. And the publisher said, okay, great. Take me as your first client. And I'm going to connect you to a friend of mine. And the friend fundraising arm for a hospital in Boston. And they fundraise to raise money to treat pediatric cancer. So I did one event with this woman, to promote it. It was an all-you-can-eat ice cream festival in the middle of Boston. And they had all around the plaza, it was at City Hall Plaza in Boston, all around the government center, there were large posters of children who had cancer, because it's all about fundraising for cancer. You paid like $5, it was all the ice cream you could eat, and all the money went to the Jimmy Fund. So it was there that I was working on this event, and it was probably a month after I started my company. And I realized that this was my calling, that I needed to be promoting nonprofits because it was so moving and so meaningful, and I loved it so much. And I was like, that was it. It found me, I think. It found me.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it does, in their purpose, and kind of just life, or God or universe, or whatever it is that it kind of connects and intersects into that pivot point. And those that are aware, really, they notice, and they take the opportunity to go forward and to learn, from others. And so, you had told me in the conversation that you had an opportunity to learn from someone that they pointed you to, and you went out in the car every day with him and learned a lot. Well, who was that, and what are some of the things you learned from him?
Well, I was very lucky in that while I was promoting this all-you-can-eat ice cream event, Jerry Greenfield from Ben & Jerry's was the spokesperson. And the event was like 9 different ice cream companies donated their ice cream. And then, $5, all you can eat, all the money went to the Jimmy Fund. So in promoting the festival so that people would know about it and come down to City Hall Plaza, I set up radio interviews for Jerry Greenfield of Ben & Jerry's. And I would I borrowed my mother's station wagon. I went to this big ice cream factory. It was like 4 a.m, filling these containers, crates, like little freezers of and pints from all the different ice cream companies, and I would stack them in these styrofoam containers, and we would take these boxes of ice cream to all of the radio stations in Boston. So I'd pack up the thing, I'd go pick up Jerry at like 5 a.m. We'd get on the road and hit like 7 different radio stations. This was during drive time radio, between the hours of 6 and 9 a.m. So hitting all those stations, and we would go in, he would talk, we would bring them ice cream, they'd eat the ice cream on the radio, they would ask him questions. And we go from one to one. This is all during, drive time, traffic, in the middle of Boston in the morning. So we would be sitting at red lights and, having to get from place to place. And I asked him lots of questions because I'm a curious person. And he told me, a lot about how he got started and why they do what they do and what the mission's all about, and, business as a force for good. I mean, I don't know that he used those words, but that's what I walked away with. Is that business can be, that he and they at Ben & Jerry's wanted to use business as a way to, heal the world. And I thought, well, I want to do that too. And I was already on the path because I had already been chosen by nonprofits to promote them through this whole experience. And then Jerry wrote the book, Double Dip, which was all about how, you can run a profitable business and do good work. And that was sort of the Bible at the time too. So I grew a business. It was in 1997. I grew a business with these principles and stuck to it. And honestly, it was such a calling, and still is, to work for nonprofits, that I didn't want to do anything else. So it wasn't, to me, it wasn't a choice. People say, how did you stick with the path? And, why didn't you go work for packaged goods or whatever, promote anything else? And I was like, I had no interest. And you have to be interested in order to do public relations and media and social media, all that. I think you have to be really interested in it. At least I do, because it can be grinding. I mean, it's not wonderful and glamorous every day. So you've got to really be committed to it, to stick with it. And am.
I think most people, unfortunately, 85% of the world's workforce is unengaged, because they're not really working in roles where they're purpose driven and they feel fulfilled, which is unfortunate, and I kind of call those jobs, they're like the task for cash and corporate benefits, but people that are very fulfilled really, I think they bring so much more to the world and so much more to their role, and so much more to the people that they serve. And because you serve a lot of different companies in different roles and industries, what would you say, because you work on so many different companies and work with so many different companies, that you bring to the marketplace and humanity?
Well, our whole goal is to help these nonprofits grow so that they can generate more revenue in terms of donors or participants to their events, or sponsors, corporate sponsors, and individuals, and raise them up as thought leaders and get recognition for the causes and the work that they're trying to do. So that's what we do on the nonprofit side. On the corporate side, we help companies that are helping, say, underserved youth, level the playing field for education, for Title I schools, that sort of thing. We help them grow by getting them more recognition, positive credibility that leads to more larger customer base.
Oh, that's great. That's right. Yeah, that's great. So you have a really a good mix of a lot of different things, which is, I think, very, very interesting. And so, as I said at the beginning of the show, for those of you listening, all the different ways that Jackie is helping and serving in the world, and all of the different areas and companies and organizations, what can you think of that can spark something that you can help bring to the world for business, for world good? So, you talked a lot about your typical clients, and do you only work with people in the United States, or do you work globally as well?
We have a client that we have worked globally with a client based in Germany and Switzerland, but they were bringing it was about clothing manufacturing and making it more equitable and safe, chemical free, here to the US. So we were promoting within the US, but it was a German and Swiss company. And we work here it's a nonprofit based in the US, but they're doing their work in Madagascar, Brazil, and Indonesia. So we get the media around the globe, really, for what they do. So anywhere, and I mean, the world's a small place now, right? And media is everywhere, and the internet is, the great equalizer.
It is, because there's so much that can be expanded now, in terms of being able to touch and reach so many different places in the world, that people going back, I don't know, maybe 30 years or maybe a little longer than that before the internet existed, or at least that people were using the internet. I mean, it existed, but it was being used as a project for something else, really, for the DoD. But with the internet being available to everyone and people being able to connect around the world, it really helps in being able to get messaging out for people to connect to one another, to be able to support one another, and have the most interesting of conversations and connections with people in ways that you didn't think you would be able to. And so moving forward, if what Jackie's been talking about and provides resonates with you, Jackie, how can they get in contact with you or your organization to get started working with you? I mean, we'll have the information also at the bottom in all your social and whatnot. But how can people work with you? Who are the best kinds of clients that you're looking to help currently and taking on?
We are always interested in nonprofits, and basically our buckets of work are in the environment, underserved, economically disadvantaged people, systems that are inequitable, education. We work in higher ed, special needs ed, healthcare, hospitals, and technology that is trying to equalize in the platforms of how life can be better for everybody. So all different causes: poverty, hunger, food insecurity, and the climate. So those are all the buckets of work that we do, plus companies that are dealing with green energy, for example, or again, technology for underserved communities. At Teak Media, it's TEAKMEDIA.com. And we're at teakmedia.com online too. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to anybody. Thank you.
Wonderful. That would be great. Is there something else that you would like to add before we close out the show?
I think everybody has the opportunity to do the right thing and to use business as a force for good. So I hope that more people do.
Too. That's why I'm doing this. I really hope that people listen and it sparks interest and
Thanks for having me.
gives people ideas. You're welcome. So thanks for listening to our extraordinary guest today. If you want to tap into your genius zone and need help doing so, you can go to my website at lynnebrodie.com. That's LYNNEBRODIE.com to get my contact information. I'm known for activating in you a new model of leadership. Please subscribe, like, and share with others, and listen to my monthly solo series, The Ripple Effect, designed to activate your personal power out into the world. Thank you very much, Jackie, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Sages of Industry podcast with Lynne Brodie. If this episode sparked new thinking, take one action today. Identify a single opportunity within your business to better serve clients, engage your team, and create measurable impact. Then move it forward. For more conversations with leaders building businesses for world good, subscribe and share this episode with a colleague or peer. And if you're ready to accelerate performance through strategic activation flow for yourself or your team, connect with Lynne to start the conversation. Until next time, lead, build, and execute with impact.